But again, so they don't really tell you that. I trust a lot of other herbalists. I look at older herbalists, Rosemary Gladstar. She's been around for forever. I love her to death. If anybody has an opportunity to learn under her because she's getting older, I definitely recommend it. She's like the grandma of herbal medicine, and she's phenomenal. Sweet as can be and spicy. I love that mix, sweet and spicy. And then also, my mentor was Michael Tierra, and he was the founder of the American Herbalist Guild, one of the founders. And so I mentored under him directly. And he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's just a crabby old man, and I love him to death. And anyway, and I also look to new herbalists because they have innovative ideas and things that, you know, I'm like, man, I never really thought about using that herb in that way. And so, but I trust other herbalists who know what they're doing long before I would trust something that I read on a website. And the information might be on their website, but I'm just saying I trust the people and not broad spectrum information. All right. All right. Immune support with natural medicine. That's me, Charlotte Woods Natural Healing Center. Okay, so this was actually kind of helpful for me because I got to look you people in the face, and that's a little bit less intimidating. So confession, one-on-one consultations, like that's where my strength is at. Public speaking as a whole, not really. So I made an herbal blend specifically for this event, and it was called Chill the F Out. And so I'm going to take that now, and then I'm going to pass it around because some of y'all might need it. A little bit of information about tinctures, 2 to 4 droppers. That's a dropper full. I know it doesn't look like it's a dropper full, but it is. So that's the dosing. That's what you would normally take. That's a normal dose. How often you would take it is going to depend on what your herbalist tells you, because it depends on what you need. All right. But that one specifically is for stress and anxiety, because that's what I feel right now. All right. So even though I am the herbal expert here, I hate that term, but it's fine. And I have spent, years learning about and working with herbs and all that sort of stuff. Here's the shocking news is that this is not working. There we go. I don't know everything. I really don't. There is a wealth of information out there. And one of the fascinating things for me is when I learn something new about an herb, and it may be an herb that I'm really familiar with, but somebody, like I said, some youngsters come up with some innovation like, oh, hey, did you know this is good for that? I'm like, no, I've been working with that herb for years. I didn't know that. So if you have a question for me and I don't know the answer, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know, but I will certainly look that up because I'm a research junkie and I love to learn new things. So I'm just like you. I absolutely binge watch Netflix. I completely still crave brownies. Keto brownies are the way to go, though, so you don't crave as much of them. I am still learning new things every day, and I'm very passionate about learning new things every day. And sometimes I'm a hot mess. That's legitimate. Don't ask my husband about it because he will tell you. But I do know this. I know how to connect the dots. So this is what I do. I'm a professional connect the dotter, if that's a word. And I know how to connect the dots between what's going on in your body system and the herbs that support them. So modern medicine doesn't really like to acknowledge that there's this web-like connection between every cell and organ system in our body, and how like a really fine-tuned machine, when one system is out of balance, it affects the whole thing. You wouldn't drive around with one flat tire being like, it's fine, we'll get there, it'll be okay, right? Your whole car is going to really be affected by that. So my job is to see where those imbalances are and then to restore function to the whole person and not just mask symptoms. Not to say that I don't want to address your symptoms, right? If you have pain, we want to address your pain, but your pain is secondary. it's the screaming mechanism that says, hey, there's a problem here. So, all right, this is me. My name is Sheri Hawn, and I'm an herbalist and primarily an educator, because I feel like I educate regardless of what it is that I do. And I have been working with natural medicine since 2005 and founded Shiloh Woods Natural Healing Center to support my clients' physical and mental well-being through education, one-on-one consultation, and quality herbal products. Um, and in that order, I educate and then I do one-on-one consultations, and quality products is the lesser of the three things that I do. So there's a lot of people out there who make phenomenal, phenomenal products. And really my passion is more for education. So that's where we're at there. All right. My background is actually in Western allopathic medicine. I went to school to become a registered nurse, but when I started working in the hospital, it completely left me feeling like I was failing my patients, because I was. I didn't see that healing was really the goal at all in Western medicine, and it was all about the numbers. And I knew that that was not what I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing. So I'm interested in helping people find balance and true healing, and I feel like herbal medicine is the way to do that. So holistic care, in the event that you don't know, holistic is just another word for whole. We're talking whole body care. I want to take care of the whole person. And when I started learning about traditional Chinese medicine and the holistic approach that they've used effectively for over 5,000 years, I knew that I was on the right path. So the 5 elements theory, which is primarily what I practice, along with 8 principles, they map out the body in such a way that we can see where the deficiencies are in one system and how it affects all the other systems, and then how we can restore the balance to the whole. Ayurvedic medicine has a similar approach with its tridosha theory, and indigenous people all over the world still use herbal medicine. In fact, true statistic for today, more than 80% of the world's population still uses herbal medicine as their primary healthcare. 80% of the world's population uses herbal medicine as their primary healthcare. But in America, it's quack medicine. It's alternative. Well, ask 80% of the world's population if it's alternative. They'll probably disagree. So, I mean, who am I to argue with literally thousands of years of herbal knowledge and success? And so I got on board. By the way, if any of you know of good teachers of indigenous medicines, that's where I'm headed in this new direction. Is I really want to learn about Native American medicine more. Not just Native American, but indigenous medicines. All right. So as we start talking about immune support, we have to acknowledge the truth about how we live our lives every day. It would be what Dr. Berry would be really happy about, is that foundational care is absolutely essential. Herbs are super powerful allies. They are, and they can do a lot. But we can't expect for them to do all the work while we sit back and neglect our bodies, our emotion, and our spirit. And they are absolutely interconnected. Our mental health plays a significant role in the functioning of our immune systems. So, feelings of stress and anxiety are some of the biggest emotional downers that are out there. Stress hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol, they actually weaken immune function. So, the more stressed out you are, the more likely you're going to be to get sick. So, take some chill the F out and support your immune system. On the other hand, when we feel relaxed and happy, our cells produce these feel good chemicals, serotonin and dopamine, which have a strengthening effect on the immune system. So, they've been telling us for years, like, oh, you need to, reduce your stress load. And everybody, including myself, is like, yeah, how's that supposed to happen? Well, there's 100 different ways that it can happen, but you have to really make that decision. that I have to reduce my stress load or I'm just going to wind up sick. So, if we consistently ignore the basics of mental health, good sleep, nutrition, hydration, and lifestyle, then we have really missed the point. So, that's where we're at. And if you have missed that point and you neglect all the main systems in your body, then you're just going to end up sick and tired. So, how many of you are already there? You're sick and tired. Oh, okay. Yep. So, I know. The truth of the matter is that we all want the easy button, but that doesn't really exist, right? Because that heifer is elusive. So, what then? All right. So, what we do is we support the body's natural defense system. That's what we do. And there are a variety of holistic options for supporting the immune system. All right. So, first of all, you got to move it, move it. Oh, that was terrible, but it's what popped into my head when I started doing this one. So here's the challenge. I'm going to make y'all stand up. I know. So you got to move your blood. All right. So just stand up, move around for a minute, get your blood moving, lift your hands up, stretch, right? Get your blood moving around. All right. Now we're going to support your lungs. Okay. So here's the thing. Maybe some of y'all have heard of the deep breathing exercises and such, but you're going to breathe in deep into your chest, not into your gut, but into your chest. So much so that you feel those fibers in your chest right here. You're going to feel them like stretching like this. And that's where you want it to be. You want to take such a deep breath that you feel that stretch happening in your chest. And then you're going to hold it there for like 3 to 5 seconds. All right. Then you're going to go ahead and let it out. So let's do that. So when you do this deep breathing, you are just aside from supporting your immune system, some of the benefits of deep breathing are it decreases stress and increases calm. It relieves pain. It increases energy and it improves your digestion. So interesting. Deep breathing supports all the things we just talked about before that you need to be doing to keep your body on the right track, right? So when you need to reduce that stress, take a deep breath, open up that chest because that sends signals to your brain, which sets in a chain reaction effect, right? Okay, y'all can sit down again. Now I'm going to show you some things that are going to help you directly affect your immune system. And these are things that you can do. It's a lymphatic massage. We're going to move the lymph. How many of you are familiar with lymphatic massage? Okay. All right. So there's a couple of you. So, I hear a lot about sinus problems, ear infections, pain, in the sinus cavities, sore throat, all sorts of crazy stuff happening. But if you stimulate the lymph system, it stimulates all the rest of your immune system because your lymph actually traps bacteria and viruses and other foreign substances. And then they have the special white blood cells called lymphocytes. And so the lymphocytes come in there and they murder all of the virus and the bacteria. But we need to stimulate those. How many of you ever have swollen lymph nodes? Yep. So that's your lymph system doing what it's supposed to do. And we want to support that. We can do that by stimulating it. So right here on your collarbone, this is where, so you have a whole lymph system that comes up, it comes up this way and it branches on either side of your ears and comes up into your sinus cavities. But when it comes from your head into your body, it trunks right here. And so you want to massage this a little bit and stimulate this because you're opening up what's effectively going to be where it can drain out from your head and down into the rest of your body for the rest of your body to deal with that and get rid of it. Okay, so we're going to stimulate right there. And for a minute, we're going to work from the ground up. So we're going to come up, stimulate the neck just a little bit, It doesn't take a lot and it doesn't take a lot of pressure. This is a really individualized kind of a thing because some people, they really like to get in there and rub that, and other people are like, oh, that's too much. It doesn't have to be a lot, okay? You're just stimulating it. So then you'll come up, and then right here, you know, like when you start to get a sore throat and these lymph nodes get swollen, yep. So you want to rub that and stimulate that. Now, here's an interesting thing. I just heard a couple of you start clearing your throat. So that's actually what happens. When you start feeling a sore throat, you can come in here and just rub and stimulate those lymph nodes, and the body's going to kick in and do its own thing. And you just feel like, I can feel that stuff starting to drain, right? So if you have an ear infection or just even ear pressure, doesn't even have to be an infection, your body will tell you, just listen. And so then you can stimulate on the front sides of your ears, okay, behind your ears. You've got these that come in behind the back side of your head. You can typically feel those when they're swollen. They're pretty tender, you know, so just rub those gently and stimulate them. Now, we worked from here up, and we do want to open this so that all of the stuff can drain, but then we want to work in reverse. So if you have your ears are starting to hurt or your throat is starting to hurt, you want to take this and actually kind of pull that down, and your lymph nodes do almost like a 7. So it comes across your jaw and then down your throat like this on either side. Okay, so like a 7. So that's how you would massage it to drain it. So we've activated the lymph, and now we're going to drain. So you would massage to the 7, come down like this, and you start being able to feel you've stimulated the mucal secretions that are in your head to start moisten and flush all this stuff out. So just, I mean, immediately you can do this anywhere. You're sitting at work, you're like, man, I'm kind of starting to feel like crap a little bit. It's only noon. I've still got to finish my work day. I'm kind of getting a little sore throat. You know, get some water, throw some lemon in it if you can, and do a sinus lymphatic massage. All right. And it will stimulate your whole immune system, and you'll feel better very quickly. All right. So I know that these things right here were not technically herbal medicine, but they are very supportive to the immune system. And now that we've got some oxygen and blood moving to your brain, let's talk about what we're going to talk about, and then we're going to talk about what we're not going to talk about, and then we'll get back to talking about that easy button with some kitchen medicine. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about how easy is herbal medicine. So many people are overwhelmed with the complexities of herbal medicine, and there's some validity to that, but it doesn't all have to be difficult, you know. So supporting your body with herbs it can be quite simple once you're on the right path. All right, you just need a guide. Whoops, I went the wrong way. All right, so where do we start? Once you have a basic understanding of herbal energetics, you are off to a good start, and you'll be able to figure out which broad category of herbs you need and then decide which specific herb is going to be right for you. So if you don't know, then you don't know, and that probably sounds a little bit daunting, but it's not. We're going to talk about herbal energetics, and you probably understand more of it than you think you do. So Herbal Energetics says a couple of things, hot and cold, or cooling and warming. We have drying and moistening. All right, so those are just 4 of herbal energetics. That's the term that's most frequently used. Now, here's the question. Is lemon a hot or a cold herb? You can cook with lemon, but if we used raw lemon, what do you think? Cold. That's right. So when it's a hot day outside, you want to make lemonade. Last night, would you have liked for me to bring you a glass of lemonade? Probably not, because lemon is cooling. All right. What about ginger or garlic? Hot or cold? Hot. That's right. So already instinctively we do understand something about herbal energetics. Now sometimes there's a gray area in there, and I get that. That's where it gets a little bit tricky, but you understand the basics. Like, yeah, I'm freezing, no thank you, I'd rather not like some iced lemonade. But if you've got some ginger tea that's going to warm my belly and start getting my blood flowing, I'll have that, please. All right. And last but certainly not least, we are going to discuss a few of my favorite immune support herbs and how you can make herbal medicine with those for yourself. Now, here's what we're not going to talk about. We are not going to talk about the this for that. And I do get those questions all the time. Can I take this for that? And my answer is usually maybe. I don't know. Like, it depends. And I know that that's a frustrating answer, but it's absolutely the truth. And that's that you're an individual with really specific health needs, and what might sound like a good fit on the surface with just a little bit of investigation, I might learn that, oh, well, you have this underlying condition, and because of that, this is not the herb for you, and instead you would want to take that for that. So I just don't like to answer those kinds of questions. I might find out that somebody has a thyroid problem and that's actually contraindicated. So no, please don't take that herb, you know. Secondly, you're special. Okay. Your mama said it. It's true. We all know it, right? And I do value my time with you, and I like to have meaningful conversations. That's really where that's my forte. I like to have those one-on-one conversations, but let's just keep that between us and not have, we're not going to be diving into like your sex life or something out here in the midst of God and everybody. And that's the other thing is lastly, I don't really have a filter. Okay. I will talk about anything, anywhere. Things do not make me uncomfortable. It doesn't matter how many people are around. So I can talk about your sex life and then the weather in like the same conversation. And in a public setting, that can get weird and awkward, right? So now, when we're done, oh, I skipped the other part. So next we're going to go into, or lastly, we're going to go into the kitchen medicine. And when we're done doing that, you're going to be saying, oh, you know what? That's actually pretty freaking easy. I think I can do some herbal medicine for myself, right? I promise. Okay. So number one, herbs are powerful and they support your immune system, and they are fairly easy to come by. So I have heard like, oh, I can't find herbal medicine, and it's, I don't know what's the right thing to take. Well, don't let that be a roadblock, because Amazon now is a phenomenal thing. Actually, I don't really recommend you get your herbs from Amazon. I shouldn't have said that. So find a reputable source, but it's becoming easier and easier to find quality herbs, much more now than it was even when I started in 2005. All right. So in fact, many of these herbs can be found right in your kitchen. Now, I don't necessarily mean oregano, although oregano is a super powerful herb. I mean, one of the most powerful, actually, kitchen medicines for immune support. But we're going to talk about all the things that are in your kitchen here in a few minutes. Using herbs for good health does not have to be difficult. And in fact, it's for everyone, even babies. So I'm going to tell you guys a story about my granddaughter, actually. And when she was about a year old, she came to live with us, my son and my daughter-in-law. When they started their family, neither of them had anything higher than a high school education. And then they figured out pretty quickly that wasn't working out like they had hoped it was going to. So they both went back to school, and we kept our granddaughter for about a year. Just prior to her coming to us, she had developed a diaper rash, and it got pretty serious pretty quickly. And they, did all the things that new parents are going to do. And then that wasn't working. So they took her to the doctor, and they followed doctor's orders. And the doctor told her to go onto antibiotics, and that didn't work. And they put her on antifungal creams, and then they put her on steroidal creams, and then they went back to antibiotics, and literally nothing was even touching this rash. And this went on for well over 3 months with no resolution. And I'm not exaggerating. Her bottom looked like raw meat. It was terrible and heartbreaking. So when they brought her to me, because kids don't ever listen to their parents, and even though I'm an herbalist and I heal people using natural medicine, I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm his mother. So it's fine. I said, give me that grandbaby. Okay, yeah, bye bye. And then we set about actually healing her body because we eliminated, we started using herbal medicine with her, and we eliminated all of the inflammatory foods that they were giving her, even though she was only a year old, but that's another conversation. We went to organic foods, and we also removed all the products, which sadly I also used on my kids, but products such as baby wipes and diaper rash creams and bath wash and, all the stuff that is specifically designed for our babies. And yet they have known toxic ingredients in them that are hormone disruptors and, affect the entire system. So we cut all that out and went completely organic with her. And lo and behold, guess what? We learned a powerful lesson. And here's what it was: when we properly support the whole body, true healing occurs. And that's exactly what happened. I didn't directly address her diaper rash. What I addressed was the fact that at a year old, she had a massive bacterial infection and a sugar imbalance, and there was just a lot of other things that were going on in her body. So we supported the whole body, and we treated obviously the diaper rash because that was incredibly painful for her. But she healed up. It was so quickly that she healed up. It was incredible. So herbs are powerful. All right, let's get down to it. So first things first, we are going to talk about some of the herbal categories so that you know where you need to start. These are specific to immune support, just so that you guys are aware of that. So some of these terms may be new to you, and that's okay. I'm going to define them for you. And then, so what we're going to talk about today are 3 specific categories: adaptogens, immunomodulators, and immunostimulants. Okay. Then we're going to identify herbs, specific herbs in those 3 categories so that you can look at that and say, oh yeah, that's me. I should take a look at these herbs, or it's, this is me, or maybe they're all 3 you. All right. So let's get going on that. Adaptogens. Adaptogens work through functional modulation of the endocrine system, namely your adrenals, the pineal, and the pituitary glands, which can be affected by stress, your mental and emotional health, or lack thereof. And some of the functions of your endocrine system, it's vast, but they regulate the metabolism of carbohydrates, the regulation of blood sugar, of blood pressure, of body temperature, and the body's response to stress and danger. It controls your sleep patterns and your body cycles and rhythms, including menstrual cycles and menopause and fertility for women. The endocrine system is incredibly important to your overall health and absolutely vital to your properly functioning immune system. Okay, so you need to be nourishing your endocrine system. Therefore, most adaptogens can be taken over a long period of time. And I recommend that you get some adaptogens into your daily cycle. You want to continue to build and support the whole body, and that's what adaptogens do. One of my all-time favorites is Tulsi basil, otherwise known as holy basil. All right, and it's called that because in India, when in Ayurvedic medicine, they see that as being like the panacea. It's a holy herb for them. That's why they named it that. And it is a phenomenal herb. In fact, it's a primary ingredient in my Chill the F Out formula because I needed to address my adrenals my fight or flight response from standing up here. Also, it's a delicious tea. So it's not one of these like really crappy tasting herbs that you need to smother. I mean, yeah, there's herbs that they taste terrible, but Tulsi is delicious. So no, yeah, it does. Tastes like dirty socks. Valerian does. But no, so Tulsi, it tastes great. You can drink it as a tea every day if you really like teas. If you need a, quick and easy down and dirty, then the tinctures is the way to go with that. You can put it in capsule form. I don't really care how you take it. You just should take it. Like, seriously, if you were a client and you were sitting in my office, I would tell you should be drinking it, taking it somehow every single day. That and maybe 5 other adaptogens, but that's something else. Okay, so they all work equally well, and it just kind of depends on your lifestyle and how you would want to take that, but definitely get some adaptogens in the system. All right, immunomodulators. So immunomodulators are used typically when there is a chronic problem or where the immune system needs feeding and strengthening, and usually there's a combination of the two. All right, so I would use an immunomodulator on board with another tonic herb where there has been a weakness identified in a specific organ system. All right, so for instance, I might add andrographis into a lung support formula that might have garlic and thyme and maybe echinacea in it. Something like that, where we're going to support the whole and also drive specifically to the lung system. When I say organ systems like the lung or the spleen or kidney or whatever, I'm not talking about the organ as a whole as seen by Western medicine, but like that organ system. Okay. So when I say your lung, I don't mean just your lung, but the entire support system that supports that. Secondarily, this is a total side note, but in traditional Chinese medicine, the lung and the skin are seen as being a primary and secondary part of your immune system. And the reason why they say that is because they're your first 10 minutes. Lord help me. Okay. They're seen as being your first defense. Anything that approaches you either through your lungs because you just breathed it in or through your skin. So they're a part of the same system according to TCM. And okay, so we're gonna go quickly. So many of these herbs can be taken also for extended periods of time to revitalize and strengthen chronic weaknesses. And my primary herb for that I really love would be Astragalus. We use Astragalus regularly. Again, it could be in powdered form. It has kind of a sweet taste, not sweet like sugar, but sweet like almost like a bland kind of crap. I don't even know how to explain that. So kind of like has anybody had a water chestnut that's kind of bland, but it's also has just that little hint of sweetness. So that's kind of the way Astragalus tastes. It's not a bad tasting thing. I put it in my coffee every morning. So that would be my go-to there. All right. Next, we're going to go to immunostimulants. And immunostimulants are also called surface immune activators. And they are herbs that are immediate but short-lived. They have a short-lived effect on the white blood cells. So we're talking like garlic or oregano or those kinds of things where it's going to hit the immune system pretty quickly. We're going to fire up all those white blood cells and it's going to attack a virus or something like that very quickly. Those you don't typically take for long periods of time. This is why Echinacea is maybe not the one that you would want to be taking for 6 months to build and support the immune system. It's like you want to be building and supporting, and then, oh, well, I think I did catch a cold virus. My throat's kind of hurting a little bit. I feel a little puny. Boom, drink some Echinacea tea. Drink that for 3 days or something, and then be done with that. So that's kind of how you would use these things in combination with each other. So for immunostimulants, rather than taking them long time, like 1 tablespoon a day, like you might with the adaptogens or immunomodulators, you would choose to take it like 1 teaspoon every hour if it were in a tincture form or something like that, or have maybe 4 cups of echinacea tea in the day. So you would be having more or less more frequently. All right, immunostimulants. Here's one thing I want to say about this is they are traditionally used as short-term medicine. However, in the case of specifically fire cider, where many of the plants that are included in that are actually food, that kind of falls into another category, primarily because one of the ways that it supports your immune system is by supporting and stimulating digestion, which then produces a strong immune system. Okay, so long-term use of fire cider vinegar, although it's loaded with immunostimulants, fire cider is a good option. Hippocrates said, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." And he was not wrong. Okay, so which one of these 3 do you think that you might need right now? Anybody got an answer? Adaptogens? Okay, it's actually a trick question. You might need all 3 of them. Okay, that's right. It depends. That's absolutely right. So you might need all 3 of them. It just depends on where you're going. You definitely need adaptogens. You might need immunomodulators if you have a chronic weakness in an organ system, and if you've been around 100 people this week and you're feeling a little puny, you might need some immunostimulants. So you might need all 3. Okay. We're going to blow through this one pretty quickly. These are just to name a few. Really good adaptogens: Eleuthero, also known as Siberian ginseng, Panax ginseng, stinging nettle, Tulsi basil, ashwagandha, gotu kola, and rhodiola. These are all really good adaptogens. I have several of these that I have in a powdered form that I put into my coffee every morning. It's wonderful and delicious way to do it. Makes my coffee taste nutty, and I like it. Immunomodulators: Astragalus, Cotinopsis, reishi mushroom, shiitake mushroom, turkey tail mushroom. We're seeing a trend there. A lot of really great mushroom mixes out there, by the way, are also really good to dump into your coffee. Schizandra, it's a fun word to say, and Andrographis, immunomodulators. Down here in immunostimulants, Spilanthes, which is also known as the toothache plant. Don't chew on that one. Your mouth will go numb and you'll drool on yourself. It's a fun thing that I do when we do herb walks in my yard. I like it. So you don't think herbs are powerful? Chew on this 1 second. Now talk to me. Well, you can't because you got drool running out your mouth. Echinacea, Japanese honeysuckle. Everybody hates it. It's weed. It grows everywhere. It's invasive. Cut it down and make some medicine out of it. Okay, that's what you need to do with those invasive plants, is use them. Oregon grapefruit, garlic, elderberry, many kitchen foods could be on this list. We'll talk about that in just a second. Some of these you'll see actually will cross the barriers, like Astragalus is also an adaptogen, so is Andrographis. But so that's the beautiful thing about herbs, is that they have multiple herbal actions. That means it does this and that. Well, that puts it in this category and that category. That's right, it does. There you go. 2 for 1 special. All right. You will notice that Goldenseal, which somebody had asked me about, and a lot of people have questions about, it is an immunostimulant. And it's a very powerful herb, but it should not be taken long term. It should only be taken for like 1 to 2 weeks max, and it's endangered. So I don't really, well, I don't prescribe it all because I'm an herbalist and not a doctor, but I don't recommend that to people because I don't want to recommend an endangered plant. So we go with Oregon grapefruit instead. All right. Now, sometimes the old wisdom is the best wisdom. So here's what I'm going to tell you immediately. drink more water, eat better, and get plenty of rest. Okay. People love that when they come in to see me, and that's the first thing on the list of to-dos. They're like, are you serious right now? Yep, I am. Okay, we're going to talk about kitchen medicine. We're going to go through this pretty quickly, but I will tell you that the full recipes and all of what we're about to go through is on my website. You just go to the winter wellness recipes on my website, and there'll be a freebie there that you can download, and it will have all of this stuff on there. Actually in more detail, because I don't have the full recipe up here. But so let's talk about 3 of my favorite, and I really mean that. This is a part of our everyday life in my household. 3 of our favorite immune support remedies: elderberry syrup and fire cider vinegar and bone broth. Delicious and nutritious. How many of you use bone broth? Yeah. All right. I like it. Okay. Elderberry syrup. I'm not going to read all of those, but it's immune boosting. It reportedly fights colds and flus, not FDA approved. It reduces upper respiratory symptoms and is incredibly rich in antioxidants, which, as Dr. Berry said, if we're eating correctly, then we wouldn't need all that because we wouldn't be creating inflammation in our bodies, but whatever. So elderberry syrup how-tos in the event you've never made elderberry syrup. These are some of the things that I put in mine, in addition to a lot of other mostly adaptogenic and immunomodulating herbs. But elderberries, of course, honey, ginger, cinnamon, cloves. These are the primary ingredients that you will normally find in an elderberry syrup. If those spices are not in there, it probably is going to taste terrible, for the record, but whatever. Everybody does their thing. But it is a delicious medicine. Okay. These are instructions on how to do it, which I'm not going to go over because I'm running out of time. And storage, you would want to store that in an airtight container in your refrigerator for standard is say 2 to 3 months. I've had it in my refrigerator much longer than that, and we've never had a problem. The dosing, I get this question quite a bit. Adult for prevention. So for adults, it's tablespoons. And for children, it's teaspoons. That's an easy way for you to remember that. For prevention, it's 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. And then for prevention, it's the same dosing, but every 2 to 4 hours. Okay, so if you're feeling run down, start doing the, in illness. Fire cider vinegar. I love fire cider vinegar, but people have a love-hate relationship with this. It is really powerful medicine, but it takes a minute to get used to it. Okay. How many of you have had fire cider vinegar? Okay, so a few of you. All right, you're missing out if you haven't had it. So, main ingredients: apple cider vinegar, obviously, garlic and onions, ginger, horseradish, orange or lemon. I put in mine for the vitamin C, and honey. Now, I will say there's the fire aspect of this, which is not necessarily listed here, and that's that traditionally there have been hot peppers that have gone into this, either jalapeno or cayenne or some other source of heat. And they are very stimulating to the immune system. I do recommend it. However, I don't care for that. So I don't put so much of that in mine. You may love heat, in which case, put a whole jalapeno, seeds and all in that sucker and light yourself on fire. And if you're like me and you're sensitive to those kinds of things, then you don't have to put it in there at all. I put a little cayenne in mine. But if you didn't want to put it in there, there is enough heat in the ginger and the garlic and the horseradish to activate what it needs to be activating. Okay. All right. So these are the instructions on how to make your fire cider, and I'm not going to go over that. I will say though that, again, this is just like with the elderberry. This is kitchen medicine. So if you're like, oh, you know what, I looked it up and Sheri was talking about the adaptogens and the immunomodulators, and I do need some of those, then add them right in, you know. I put, oh, here we go. If you want a really powerful combination, elderfire. It's not a joke. And it tastes good. So for those of you who don't like the taste of fire cider, you know, mix them together and there you go. We have a blend. It is right back there for sale. The Elder Fire, and it has a combination of the two plus some of those adaptogen and immunomodulator herbs that we talked about. So it's specially formulated so that you can have this on hand now while you go home and make your own elderberry and fire cider, because that fire cider takes about 6 weeks for you to extract all of the nutrition and medicinal properties into the apple cider vinegar. Okay, so that's why I brought that, so you guys would have it on hand while you're making your own medicine at home. All right, next is bone broth. So obviously bones, that's an important part to having bone broth, unless you're a vegetarian, in which case I don't. What? There's none of them here. Good. So bones, rich in vitamins, nutrients, and collagen, super important. Garlic and onions, dandelion and burdock root. These are really good for your liver and will help to cleanse the body. So that's an important component. Cleanses your blood, which is, you know, sort of important. Astragalus root. I take these, come in these long strips. They just kind of shave off pieces of the root, and I take it and I put it right in when I'm cooking it down, and it cooks straight into the broth. Same with the dandelion and the burdock root. Other herbs and veggies, this is really up to you and what else you would want to put in here. And then I just put in like a tablespoon or two of the apple cider vinegar. Helps to soften the bones and extract that marrow and calcium and stuff out of there. Okay. So when I make this, you know, there's only 3 of us left at home. I actually have a large family, but there's only a couple of us now. And so I freeze all the chickens and all those things that we have cooked. I take that carcass and I put it in the freezer. And then when we have a couple, I take them out and I make a big pot of this stock all at one time. And then when I'm done with that, I just refreeze that stock and we have it all winter long. Okay. You can do the same with beef bones. All right. So this is how you do that. Boom shakalaka. If you need more of that, then go get it on the website because we're wrapping it up. Okay, so you have options when it comes to your health now more than ever. You have options. So if you are seeking whole body health and not just a pill for every ill, if you're frustrated with the modern healthcare system and tired of being bounced around from doctor to doctor that never really actually help you or find a solution, if you're ready to experience a healing method that has been proven for 5,000 years or more, and if you're curious to see if herbal medicine might work for you, then contact us today. And let me say again, when you properly support the whole body, true healing occurs. And this is me, and that's the website where you can go and get those recipes. And I just want to say thank you guys for listening to me today. Thanks.
Okay, so I may have seemed a little aggressive in my wrap it up because I know they have questions. So thank you for getting through the end quick. We have one back here.
So to get off a couple of lifelong pharmaceuticals, what is the exact process? Is it a matter of meeting with you once a week for a year to do this? Or do you just start more or less as an individual experimenting on your own with it?
Yeah. So you could start experimenting on your own. You can absolutely do that. You can also set up a consultation with me and we'll go over your entire, you know, health history, and we'll talk about, you know, what your needs are and what your goals are and how we can start the process of meeting that. But here's a really important thing to note is that as an herbalist, I cannot and will not recommend or help you come off of your pharmaceuticals. That is my FDA statement. Okay. Because I'm not a physician and I do not practice medicine, I cannot prescribe or recommend anything having to do with your pharmaceuticals. What I can tell you is that these herbs support the body that you are currently taking these medications for. And when the herb is supporting the body, you don't need this so much. So at that point, you should go and talk to your physician who prescribed that medication and say, I've been working with an herbalist and I feel like this situation is getting a little better. Can we reduce this medication some and see how that works out? And I do talk to physicians. Sometimes they're amicable and sometimes they are not. But I do talk to physicians and I tell them, this is what we're doing.
Patch, can you turn off the live stream, please? Thank you. Keep going.
Okay.
You're no longer on the internet.
It's okay.
Anybody recording